beaver cap and his checkered tie. Let's see what he has to say. What's he got for us this time? They're probably Blu-rays.
Aficionados Chris.
It's a guilty pleasure.
Aficionados Chris.
It's a common measure.
Aficionados.
Shine the lights, shoot the camera, smile for the world in panoramas. He likes to impersonate walk on.
Hey everybody, Aficionados Chris here, and today we have a bunch of Shout Factory sweetness to talk about. A lot of these actually come from the sub-label Scream Factory, which of course focuses predominantly on the horror titles that Shout Factory acquires. So we're going to talk about a lot of these. A lot of these are some really cool things. Some are just okay, and some I wouldn't highly recommend, but let's get right into it. The first one we're going to talk about is a horror cult classic that I kind of only knew about because of a Robot Chicken sketch. And I kind of blame said Robot Chicken sketch because it kind of spoils the major twist ending in this movie. And I'm sure a lot of you probably already have picked up on it. And that is Sleepaway Camp, the Collector's Edition. I would say for a first time viewing and knowing a lot about it as a cult film and as a horror classic overall, I can definitely say I really enjoyed it. It's definitely, no pun intended, it's a very campy movie. Recommend a lot of people who haven't seen it or are big horror fans to definitely check it out. It is a very enjoyable and creative horror movie, and knowing Shout Factory, this thing has tons of bonus features, which I'll actually list on the back here. The biggest thing is that this is actually a 2K scan from the original camera negative, so it looks really good on Blu-ray. And Shout Factory, with very rare exceptions, in fact, I can't even think of a Blu-ray that they did a bad job with. But you know, they do a very good job with their Blu-ray transfers, especially considering the negatives and the prints that they usually get. They do a very good job mastering them on Blu-ray. So Sleepaway Camp looks very good on Blu-ray. But the bonus features it comes with is a commentary, in fact, a brand new commentary, as it states, with Felissa Rose and Jonathan Tiersten. I'm probably mispronouncing his name, but they're the two actors from the movie. You've got the old commentary, which features the writer and director of the film. You've got brand new interviews with the cast and the crew, a short film called Judy by Jeff Hayes, a theatrical trailer, obviously, for most Blu-rays. And as an average horror fan, I did really enjoy it for its campiness and cult status. I have a big thing for cult movies, so this definitely tickled my interest, and I'm glad I finally checked it out because it was a very enjoyable horror movie, and I highly recommend that all fans of this movie, or just horror nuts in general, definitely pick up this Blu-ray. Next up, we're going to talk about a movie that I remember seeing posters of all the time as a kid and never actually seen, and thanks to good old Scream Factory, I was able to check it out on Blu-ray, and that is Lake Placid. So I finally checked it. I didn't know much about it except a good friend of mine, Joey Hollywood, had told me to expect a very cheesy movie, and I did. And it kind of reminded me a lot of the movie Tremors, which is a movie I saw when too young to actually see it. But Tremors was a movie I really enjoyed. That was much like Evil Dead or any kind of black comedy horror movie. It was very self-aware and was sort of satirical in and of itself. And I'm pretty sure Lake Placid was going for the same vibe that Tremors gave, that it was sort of in on the joke and it knew that it was a stupid movie with a stupid premise and was just having fun with it. I mean, when you have a movie where your main villain outside of a giant crocodile is Betty White, I don't think you're meant to take it very seriously. That being said, because I enjoyed it for a cheesy movie that I'm pretty sure was very self-aware, I had a blast. It was tons of fun. I'm a big fan of monster movies, more so kaiju movies, but I do love monster movies overall, and this definitely fits in with the criteria of a good cheesy monster movie. And I just had a ball watching it. I'm very glad I finally checked it out, and finally seeing the story behind the poster I used to see as a kid. Now, like the Sleepaway Camp Blu-ray, this has some bonus features, which includes new interviews with the director Steve Miner. I actually don't know what that guy's doing anymore, as well as Bill Pullman, and I don't even know where that guy is. I think he did a sitcom recently that got canceled with Josh Gad, and the director of photography Darren Okada, which I'm probably mispronounced his name, and I'm very sorry if I am. As well as some interviews with the members of the special effects team, a vintage featurette, TV spots, and of course trailers like any good Blu-ray. So overall, if you're a fan of monster movies and movies like Tremors, I think this is definitely worth checking out, because I know it's one of those movies that you could probably judge it from the cover, but I think it's a real underrated gem, if I do say so myself. I don't know if a lot of people talk about it, but I guess they have to if they're putting out a collector's edition of it on Blu-ray. But if you have never seen it or judged it because you saw the poster and thought it looked stupid, just think of Tremors when you see it. I think you'll enjoy it a heck of a lot more, because I certainly did with that mindset, and I think a lot of you will as well. And if you're a horror fan, it's definitely worth checking out. Next up for the Scream Factory label is a movie that I've never even heard of, and is actually from 1999, and that movie is Ravenous. It actually stars Guy Pearce of Memento fame. Memento is actually one of my favorite movies. Now, this is where it gets into the type of horror movies that I personally can't stomach. And I mean that in every sense of the phrase. This is a very, very gory movie. And for a low-budget movie, the gore effects are pretty effective, at least for someone like me who has a very weak stomach. So maybe there's some like gore hounds out there that are like, this movie looks too cheesy or blah blah. Well, I'm not really too keen on gore fest movies, so this definitely was not my cup of tea. An enjoyable movie. I just personally could have cared less for a lot of the gore scenes, but it's still a decent movie, especially for horror fans who've probably never seen it. It screams cult all over it. Blu-ray actually comes with a commentary with the director of the film, the composer of the film, as well as a commentary with the screenwriter and actor Jeffrey Jones, and as well as a solo commentary with the actor Robert Carlyle, some deleted scenes with commentary by the director, theatrical trailer, some TV spots, and some still galleries. Like I said, it wasn't my kind of thing because I don't really care for gore movies, but hey, if that doesn't bother you, then no need to fret, check it out. Next up, we come to a DVD from Scream Factory, and I looked up, there is no Blu-ray for this, so don't expect any review for picture quality on this one. But we have House in the Alley. Now, like I talked about Ravenous, I'm not a big gore person, but another genre of horror movie that I don't particularly care for, there's very rare exceptions to that, I don't care for a lot of Asian horror movies. They tend to rely on disturbing images as opposed to telling a story or actually being genuinely scary. I don't know, for me, disturbing images are not scary, they're just disturbing, and to me it's not really the same thing. They're two different categories, just as much as like a jump scare is not a scare, it's just a loud noise that makes you jolt. It's not the equivalent of getting scared. So House in the Alley had me a little worried because I don't particularly care for these types of movies. Now overall, watching it, it's an okay movie. Because of my personal issues, I couldn't really get into it, so I can't say that I really like the movie, but I know this definitely has an audience that would really enjoy it. It's a very disturbing movie, I can easily say that, so if you love things like Ringu or Ju-on, I believe it's called, the original Japanese The Grudge, I believe it was called. Things like that, a lot of the disturbing imagery, Asian horror movies, this is definitely right up your alley. Now, for a lot of you who are probably disappointed that there's no Blu-ray for this movie, very sorry about that. This is only available on DVD, so the picture audio quality is not great, but it's not bad either. It's very decent for, a DVD standards. I really wish it was on Blu-ray. Probably would have looked better with the way this movie was shot, because I will give it that the movie is shot very well with its very dark lighting. It definitely adds a mood to it. Next up, we have two action movies. In fact, technically three, because one of these is a double feature. But the first one we're going to talk about is Bushido Man, 7 Deadly Battles. Now, first things first, I love samurai movies. I'm a big fan of the Shogun Assassin films, and I really love the Kill Bill movies, just to name a few. And when I saw this, I was really ready. I love these kind of movies, and it's tons of fun. Now, first thing I should say, don't go into this expecting a high-quality samurai movie like Kill Bill or Shogun Assassin, but if you're ready to just shut your brain off and have a fun samurai chopping time, this is definitely your kind of thing. It was definitely my kind of thing. I had tons of fun watching this movie, and leave it to the Japanese to make a really awesome samurai movie. Now, the Blu-ray picture quality is very good. This is a relatively recent movie, so the picture quality is as it should be. In fact, it was actually surprising to see something like this come out of Shout Factory, because I expect something like this to come out from Funimation or Well Go USA or a company like that, but it is still a nice and enjoyable movie for someone like me who loves samurai movies. And bonus features is only one, just a making of featurette, and that's it. So it's very skip for bonus features, but you don't buy or check out a movie for bonus features, something like this. You watch it for the sword fight action, and this movie definitely delivers. So if you're a big fan of sword fight action and samurai movies, you're definitely going to enjoy this movie. But again, don't expect a high quality film with a great story. Just expect tons of fun action. And last but certainly not least, we have a double feature for I Escaped from Devil's Island and The Final Option. Now, the one I really want to talk about is the I Escaped from Devil's Island, which stars badass mother Jim Brown, good old Black Gun himself. Now, this is not a blaxploitation movie, as you'd probably led to believe, considering that Jim Brown is involved. It's actually an action movie produced by the King of Bees himself, Roger Corman. Now, neither one of these action movies is something to write home about. There's definitely no Die Hard or hard-boiled quality action stardom or storytelling here, but set that aside for mindless action fun and Jim Brown, like I said, who couldn't love him. You're going to have tons of fun when you check out this double feature. Now, I'd never even heard of The Final Option. I definitely have never heard of I Escaped from the Devil's Island, but like I said, I was intrigued as soon as I saw that Jim Brown was attached to it, and both were tons of fun. I'd recommend this double feature to big fans of like big, bombastic, and especially cheesy action movies from the 70s and the 80s. There's no bonus features on this Blu-ray. It's just the two movies on Blu-ray, and the picture and audio quality is decent considering the types of movies they are and what they were shot on, which were relatively low budget considering that, well, Escape from Devil's Island was produced by Roger Corman, who essentially was Troma before Troma, so it's definitely a very cheap looking movie, but it still looks really good considering. And kudos to Shout Factory for making these look as good as they possibly can. That's really all I have to say about this awesome selection of Shout Factory titles. All of them are available right now, so definitely check them out if a lot of them interest you. I hope you enjoyed the video, and please have a wonderful day. Goodbye.
Hey, guess what? The video you just watched is over. So if you like what you saw, then definitely hit that subscribe button. And if you want to be extra generous, you can go and support my channel on Patreon. Anyone who donates $1 or more gets their name at the end of the credits. And if you want to keep up to date with all my upcoming projects, you can go and like my page on Facebook and follow me on Twitter. Thanks again for watching, and if you're extra bored, you can watch all these other videos that I also made. I guarantee you will like them.